first thing you had professionally published?
It was an article about the Rocky Horror Picture Show in an issue of Starburst magazine. Yes.
What was it?
And I never worked for Starburst magazine again.
We're obviously impressed. What was the first Doctor Who novel?
The first Doctor Who novel was Revelation, the fourth of the Time Lord books, which was, I was living in Manchester. I was contributing sketches to Radio 4 drama shows out of Manchester. I'd already won a place on a BBC Two short play contest and had a short play televised. But there were huge gaps of nothing opening up. And I had got a letter from Peter Evans, the editor of the Doctor Who book range, saying, if you're not careful, you'll be writing one of our novels. And I remember getting it and literally jumping up and down in my hallway. And it was the fact that basically I adapted one of my fan fiction stories. So I have this direct line from the stories I first started writing as a kid, as essays for school, featured some of the characters who then appeared in my fan fiction. I adapted one of the pieces of fan fiction to be one of my Doctor Who novels. I adapted one of my Doctor Who novels for Doctor Who. There is a direct line. I'm really pleased with that.
Must we put you in number one in the field of one? Probably for that kind of thing.
For fan fiction, maybe, because the Doctor Who novel, the lovely thing was it's a bit like The Right Stuff. We were all waiting as this group of fan fiction writers, waiting for the next person from us who would become, who would get a Doctor Who novel. So, there goes Andy Lane, there's Jim Mortimer, and they all sort of started trooping in and coming in. And there's one guy, actually, we had The Right Stuff, our guy, who was the leading fan fiction writer who never did it.
Yes, I was going to ask with there must have been somebody who is there kind of going, it's never going to be mine.
And you should say, so who was the best Doctor Who fan fiction writer you ever saw? Well, his name was David Tully. And he just stayed writing fan fiction, never did anything.
You did some of these TV guides, you did a TV guide or an episode guide for Doctor Who and for what?
X-Files, Star Trek, and the Avengers. Me, Keith Topping and Martin Day. And
that's pretty nerdy.
It is.
Excuse me, sorry. Was it good? Was it fun?
It was. We invented that format of chopping things up into little pieces and looking at the little pieces. It became just mind-bogglingly prevalent in the 1990s, and everybody did it. Now everybody's stopped, thank God. And because I think it got really boring.
And there was Doctor Who ended, and there was the big long period, but really there was a huge amount of stuff came out of it, and it was all the novels are more or less taken as being canon, aren't they? Everything that
don't say the word canon. I just don't think there is. I do not think there is any such thing as canon in Doctor Who. And carefully. And now it has to be carefully. The silence is just so big and obvious. There is nobody in the Doctor Who production office who has ever declared anything about canon. There's two reasons for this. Chiefly because Russell thinks that this whole conversation is remarkably geeky and doesn't want to go anywhere near it. But on the other hand, his reaction to that could be, so I will declare, only the TV show matters, nothing else does. But he's never done that. And so, unlike Paramount, who have an official canon, and Star Wars, who have an official canon, Paramount for Star Trek, we do not have a canon in Doctor Who. I think this has given us a remarkable plasticity and power as a show. That I think maybe, although I can't speak for him, I don't know if this is the case, maybe Russell also doesn't want some kid who's reading a Doctor Who novel from the new ones to somehow think this doesn't count,
Well, some of the stuff that happened, was it the Time Wars, and this all did happen. Is deemed to have happened.
Did and did not, in that the Time Wars rewrote an awful lot of Doctor Who history. So in many ways you can say that all the Doctor Who and all the different media did happen at some point and then may have unhappened. Including bits of the TV show. Van Statten in Dalek in the first season is a great big entrepreneur with an absolute interest in things alien, who lives it's the year 2018 or something, who has never seen or heard of a Dalek, despite of them having invaded Earth last Christmas. So that's changed.
A lot of stuff seems to happen at Christmas that nobody remembers.
Oh, well, they do now. London gets evacuated basically every Christmas now because. But no, I think that's it. We do because of the time travel. The show rewrites its own continuity. Cool. So everything did and did not happen.
And speaking, you mentioned Steve Moffat. How much do you hate Steve Moffat for stealing your Hugo all the time?
He's like the bloody Hugo channel. You're never more than 15 minutes away from another mention of his Hugos. You've seen my Hugos, he says. Yes, I have, actually. I've been in close proximity to a lot of them.
But you're not bitter, I take it.
Not at all, no. It's quite a sharp shape as a Hugo. Point to it.
Yes. Are you writing anything for the next season?
It's far too early to say. Actually, it's
Is that a political? It's far too early to say, or is that really it's far too early to say?
You just say yes.
Or no.
we're way off the new season. I would love to. I'm always available for selection by Doctor Who. But you haven't seen any other writers being identified as writing on a new show.
Yeah. And what else did you do? An episode? Did you do only one or a couple of episodes of Primeval?
I did one episode of Primeval. I was asked back for this coming season, and I said no, just because I'm too busy. Because it's a lovely show, and they're really lovely people to work with. And I really adore a lot of things about that show. I think it's kind of snackable. It's kind of nom. And there's something really valuable about Primeval as well. I love the fact that from the start, they're getting people who are into natural history to talk about the prehistoric animals as animals.
Yes.
And they're determined that their heroes don't treat them as monsters, and that they want them to be treated as animals throughout. And I think that's really admirable. And Adrian's a really good dude, really good showrunner. Really excellent show.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. It's coming back now.
Tonight.
Tonight, isn't it?
Head to head against Robin Hood.
That's right, you wrote for Robin Hood. Is this the dark period that you don't speak about?